see, they know they tell person, no, if you are planning to get married, or you are about to get married, or you're newly married, just sit tight and listen. Hello, hello. I'm Chisom Eze and you are welcome to my YouTube channel, The Roadside Investor, where we provide you with the tools that can help you on your wealth creation journey to financial freedom and personal growth. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for all that you do. I see your views, your likes, your comments, everything, engagement. Thank you. Please keep showing me some love. And if you're just stumbling on this channel for the first time, hello, welcome. I'm Chisom Eze. I hope that you like what you see and then decide to stick around and watch many of our other videos that are currently published and also watch future videos that will be published. If you're a Nigerian like myself, there's a high chance that the topic of money is a very touchy conversation or subject, right? Personally, growing up, I never really talked about money. Money was not talked about, not at home, not in school, not anywhere. In fact, the fact that I turned out like this, I wouldn't have ever imagined in my lifetime. So, what am I trying to say? What I'm saying is that if you had the same experience like I did, talking to your partner as regards finances will definitely not be an easy feat. But guess what? It is very necessary to talk about finances with the person that you plan to spend the rest of your life with. If you ask me, based on hierarchy, I would say that after love, the next important thing in marriage is finances. Yes, that's my opinion. So in this video, as you might have already seen in the title and the thumbnail, we're talking about why it is important to discuss money with your partner. I'll be stating out some life case scenarios. We'll also be talking about some important aspects of finances that you need to discuss with your partner, and we would also cover different ways you can handle finances with your partner. These topics are targeted majorly to people who intend to get married, who are about to get married, and newly married. And depending on how this video goes, if you like, comment, engage, and request for similar videos like this, I will definitely be dropping more couple finance video content on this channel, because trust me, one video cannot cover it all. So why is it important to talk about finance with your partner? Let's take this life situation, right? There is a couple, obviously. The lady and the guy come from very different backgrounds. This lady comes from a family where the father handles all the bills, 100% of the bills. And the man comes from a family where both the father and the mother handle the bills together. So imagine these two people from different backgrounds coming together to start up a home. Obviously, ideally, what each of them would think is that, oh, okay, this is what I'm used to and this is what I plan to take onto my marriage, right? Note the fact that I said ideally, because sometimes the people can grow up to think differently and want to do things differently. But even at that, it takes a lot of relearning and constant effort to change some financial behaviors that you have been accustomed to over the years. So now, take a look at this scenario. If you can see that obviously that there's a problem brewing if these two people don't come together and talk about finances and how things will be done in the homes that they're about to create. Are you getting me? I hope you're getting me. Let's talk about another life story. In this case, the man and the woman have similar backgrounds. Their parents both came together and contributed towards the financial wealth of the home, right? And you're probably thinking, this kind of family, you don't see what the issue might be. I think they are good to go. But not necessarily, because even when two people come together to split finances or share finances, there's also differences between how it might be done in his own family and her family. Let's take, for example, in the lady's home, the father is the one that handles the DSTV bills, for example, and the mother handles the light bills, for example. And switching over to the guy's side is actually like reverse in this case. The mother takes the DSTV bills and the father takes the light bills. In that scenario, ideally, this couple will come with the notion that, okay, I'm going into this home. Ideally, my husband would sort out the DSTV bills while I sort out light bills. And he's thinking, oh, my wife will sort out the light bills while I sort out the DSTV bills. Can you see what is brewing? Can you see why it's important to talk about finances? Now, let's take another and the last life scenario. Just imagine if one of the couple is in serious debt. It can be school debt, it can be business debt, it can be loan, all those kind of things. There is definitely a high chance that if you were a partner to such person, you do not want to be caught unawares. You want to know about your partner's financial health before you get into marriage, because at this point their debt would definitely affect you directly. I mean, a bad debt can mutually stall your mutual financial goals. Let's say you both intend to buy a house or buy a car or even start raising kids. If your partner is in serious debt, of course, a lot of these future expenses will be stalled until this debt is recovered. So you see that your partner's debt would definitely also affect you. So can you see now why it's important to talk about finances with your partner? Bear in mind that these 3 case studies that I have talked about are actual life scenarios. A lot of people are going through these situations and you don't even know. So what am I saying? It's very important for you to talk to your partner about things like this. Sit down, set a day, no distraction. Talk intensely about your finances, how you intend to go into this union in as regards finances, right? Very important. So the next thing we're going to talk about now is the different methods you can practice finance in your marriage. In this part of the video, we're talking about having joint accounts and also having separate accounts. We're talking about the pros and cons, and I would also give my view at the end of the video. So what's a joint account? A joint account is simply an account that is mutually owned by the couple involved. That is, the man and the woman share the same account. That is a joint account. So what are the pros of having a joint account? One is there are literally little or no surprises, right? When it comes to expenses and the likes, you both have access to the account. You can both see how much is going in, how much is going out, right? So that's one of the pros. You have clear visibility of where you are financially. The second pro about having a joint account is that it's easier to pull money together towards a financial goal. Let's say you both want to save for a house. It's easier to do that when you both have a joint account that is dedicated to saving for a house, right? The other pro of having a joint account is that it's easier to budget. You both can tell how much is entering that joint account on a monthly basis. You both can then sit down and easily budget on how much is going to go out, how much is going to be saved, how much is going to be allocated to different things, right? That's basically the major pros of having a joint account. Let's talk about the cons now. Number one con for joint accounts is that every small expense requires a discussion. Like, I mean, if you want to take money to buy chin or something like that, you might have to tell your partner that, oh, I want to take some money out just to buy chin or just to buy bread or something. Like, small and little decisions like that have to be discussed. The second con is that if you decide to have a joint account with your partner, you have to have really thought about it, because if in the course of the marriage you then decide that, okay, you want to now have split finances, trust me, it's going to be harder to then figure out how to then split the finances that were originally joined together. I'm talking about splitting finances. Another con that follows shortly is what happens in the case where you guys want a divorce, right? Splitting the amount of money in the joint account is also harder. Another con of joint account is that when two of you have a joint account, you might necessarily not have that feeling of financial independence, especially when your marriage is new, right? You know that thing where you have your own money and you have liberty to do some sensible things with your own money. With having a joint account, only you tend to not have that or feel financially independent. So I also mentioned, just like I mentioned, another con of having a joint account is that in cases where your partner has a loan, you know that automatically your money is also going into the loan that he or she has accrued before your marriage. In other words, you're paying for your partner's debt. This can be a con because you just don't know how your partner feels about paying your own debt, right? You might start having resentment over your partner and things like that. So that's also a con. So that's basically the pros and cons of having a joint account. Next, we're going to talk about is having a separate account, the pros and cons. So what are the pros of having a separate account? So number one, it's easier to manage different incomes, and it's easier to manage separately. By the way, if you have your own account for your money and they also have their own account for their money, it's easier for both of you to manage your account separately. The second thing is that with a separate account, you can treat yourself without guilt. If you want to buy chin chin, you can go and buy chin chin and nobody is going to, you don't need to start speaking English because you want to buy chin chin. So there is that. The third pro is that it's easier to know whose money is whose. Like, okay, and this is the amount of money I'm going to contribute towards rent. This is the amount of money I'm going to contribute towards this. So it's just easier to know who is contributing who and what they are contributing, basically. The fourth pros of having a separate account is that there's no checking in, like someone vetting what you're doing with your own money. But the thing is that there's actually a fine line between that, and that leads us to the cons of having a separate account. Yes, nobody's checking in and saying, okay, how are you spending, right? But that can also lead to a problem. So let's say both partners are then not communicating about their own finances. That's a problem. Like, you want to know how much your partner is making. You want to know some of the major things he's doing with his money or she's doing with her money, right? So when there's no financial accountability per se, because at the end of the day it's a marriage, you guys are now one, that can bring in some friction. Second thing is that managing bills becomes a hassle, because then you have to actually sit down and have an intense discussion and then delegate bills however you intend to delegate bills. And that can be a hassle, of course. The third con of having a separate account is that if something happens to your partner, for example, let's say he or she dies, it's harder to figure out the beneficiary of his or her account. So still on having separate accounts, there are actually different methods that couples can use to manage having separate accounts and still running their household efficiently. So the different separate account methods are using proportional pay method, fixed pay method, bill by bill pay method, and split pay method. So let's take them one at a time. What is proportional bill pay method? So let's say now that your spouse earns 60,000 naira and you earn 40,000 naira. Automatically you know that, okay, your spouse is going to take on 60% of the expenses while you take on 40% of the expenses, right? That's what you mean by proportional pay. So fixed pay method is when both of you come together and decide, okay, this is a fixed amount I'm putting into a particular bill or all bills. So let's say, for example, you can say, you know what, every month I'm putting in 10,000 to the lights bill. You are putting in 10,000 to the lights bill. Or okay, I'm putting in 5,000 to the DSTV bill. You are putting in 2,000 to the DSTV bill. It's fixed. The amount you're putting towards these bills are fixed. The next one is the bill by bill pay method, where some you decide that, you know what, okay, one person is going to handle DSTV, the other person is going to handle light, one person is going to handle this and that. It's fixed. So no matter the amount the light bill comes to in a month, for example, you know that the person that has been delegated to handle that bill will handle it either way. The last one is the spill pay method, and in this method, whether you're earning 20,000 naira and someone is earning 1 million naira, you will both split the bill equally. So those are the 4 different ways you can split finances, even while running a separate account, right? While running separate accounts. It's important to note though that nothing is written on stone. As long as you both are remaining together for a long period of time, the conversations will always have to be held. Things change, things can change. Imagine if one of you loses his or her job, or imagine if there becomes a change in the earnings of 1 or 2 partners. The conversation is usually ongoing. The fact that you have planned something now does not mean that it won't change in the future. It's always going to be subject to changes. So now, what are my thoughts, right? What are my opinions? What do I think is better, etc.? Personally, the truth is I cannot tell you what is going to work for you. That is left between you and your partner. I have already identified the different ways that you and your partner can go ahead to begin the discussion on how your finances would look like, right? Personally, for me, I actually prefer the best of both worlds, that is combining. Combining here means that we have both separate accounts and then a joint account as well. So let's say in handling household bills, for example, I would prefer a joint account where we just put in money for anything household, anything that mutually concerns both of us. It will be all visible in a joint account, and we can both equally track how that account is going. And let's take, for example, we also both have mutually financed goals that we want to reach. Let's say, for example, we want to buy a house, we want to buy a car, we're saving to raise kids and the likes. I would prefer a joint account where both parties can actually see what is going on, where we have reached and the likes. But then I would also like to have a separate account, because sometimes I want to buy chin chin without having to ask anybody. Sometimes you want to treat yourself to a good time, you want to buy human hair and the likes. You don't want to have to start speaking English because you want to do all those things. I also forgot to mention that as regards joint account as well, you can also have mutual investment plans as well. So that should also go into the joint account. That is what I would prefer. Then you also have your personal investment goals, right? That should be handled by your separate account. And then there are emergency funds. I personally would like to have emergency funds in my separate account, because you never know when you will have an emergency. What if both of you are not together? What if the emergency meets you when he is away? You know, that kind of thing. So it's important that my emergency funds are actually in my own account, and same for him as well. But of course, it all depends on the conversation I would have with my partner, right? And that is to also let you know that at the end of the day, it's not just a you thing, it's a you and your partner thing. You have to discuss about it and keep discussing about it as time goes on. So if you're thinking, so another thing to add is I personally would recommend a joint account if both parties are actually earning really low and you have to be very frugal with your expenses. You know that by having a joint account, both of you are very accountable to each other, and you can remain frugal and keep budgeting wisely. For separate accounts, I can also recommend that for couples who earn very high range income. So if the difference between his income and your income are very far apart, a separate account might be a good way to go. I've already said what I prefer, a combination of both, and that's pretty much it. Just like I said, it really depends on the conversation you have with your partner. I can tell you and your partner what to do with your money and how to go about your finances. I can only provide some of the tools that you need to help you get there and give one or two cents, right? And that's what I've done in this video. So if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up, share this video, comment. Let me know if you want to see more videos on couple finance. I'll be more than happy to do so, because one video, like I said before, is not enough. So depending on how this video goes, be rest assured that you would be seeing more couple finance videos on this channel. Also, let me know if there's any other thing you want me to talk about in this channel, and I'll be happy to get right to it. See you in my next video. Bye. Bill by bill pay method.